Hey guys, how we going? Recently I've just been um, tasked with building splash screens for the app at work. So I thought, it might be a good idea to show you guys how to build a couple of splash screens. What I've got set up here is literally I've just done the whole um, React Native init project. So just in the React Native docs, and then I've gone ahead and made a couple of splash screens just on Sketch. And if you want to know a quick way to make a splash screen on Sketch, you could literally just hit A on your keyboard, and then you get a list of options on the right hand side. So I just went with the iPhone 11 artboard, so that way it's proportional to the iPhone 11. But I'll show you how to scale that in with your device and everything like that. So just to get started, I will show you guys how to set up a splash screen in iOS. So to get started with iOS, what we can do is we can actually jump into the actual Xcode project. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to cd into my iOS folder, right? And as you noticed, I'm actually not using Expo, I'm using React Native CLI. The reason why I go with the React Native CLI over Expo is because it's more like I like the flexibility that comes along with the React Native CLI. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to cd into my iOS folder. Now, a nice little trick is while I'm in my iOS folder, I can run xcd dot, and this will open up Xcode for me, right? So the reason why I'm starting with Xcode first is because I've actually got a couple of years of experience building iPhone apps before I moved to React Native, and my Kotlin skills are not the greatest, but good enough to build a splash screen. So while I'm in my folder, I'm going to jump down a few directories, and I'm actually going to go into my launch screen.storyboard, and this will be the first screen that the app presents while the app is building, right? So while we're in this splash screen, right, actually prior to actually setting up this splash screen, right, what I'm actually going to have to do is I'm actually going to have to add the assets needed to put on that screen. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to minimize this, keep my Xcode open, and no, that's not what I want. I want splash screens. Here we go. So what I have is I have a 1 times, 2 times, and 3 times for the splash screen. So that way we have the different PNGs for different pixel densities, right? So now I've got my assets. What I can do is I can jump into my launch screen storyboard, and I can get rid of all of this stuff. Some of you guys might have a storyboard, you might have a NID file. There's a few different, some people have different things, but either way, it's still the same principle. You're gonna want to have to drag on an image. So let's drag on that bad boy, whack him on there like that. And then we are actually going to, is it this one here? Yeah. So just clicking down here, the little constraints tool, we're just going to put this right up against the edges. If you get something like this, let's see if I can remember now. Where's my little constraints? Okay, let's just delete that, and let's drag this past the safe area. Right, and let's try that again. That way it's pinned to the bottom and it takes up the full width of the screen. Right, so that way we don't get the white space down the bottom. Right, and then what we want is we want to, not the class, I'm trying to remember now, it's been a while since I've jumped into Xcode. Is it this one? This one? Yeah, this one here. So we want to add the actual image, and it should be right here. Launch screen iOS. Alright, and to configure this, or the content mode, we want aspect fill. Right, so that way it's going to, is it scale to fill? No, we want aspect fill. So that way we keep the aspect ratio of the image while still filling the whole screen. That way we don't, things don't look disproportional, right? So now if I jump back into my actual project, and I want to cd back, and I'm going to run npm run apps. Whoops, npm run apps. If you're wondering what npm run apps is, it's literally just a little script that I've put in here, right? That just joins these two commands together, so that way I can just build the iOS and the Android project at the same time. Alright, so now we're going to have to wait for this bad boy to build. You probably saw it for like a split second. Let me try that again. Yeah, so you probably saw it for like a split second. The little iOS pop up. See? You saw it for like a split second. Now, so you've set up the splash screen now, but the only issue here is, is you're going to be presented with the splash screen while React, while we build the native project, so the actual underlying native code, which would be in this case Objective-C, right? Or you might be Swift, depending if you've actually migrated it over. And then you're going to be presented with a white screen before you get presented with your actual application. And the reason being is because we're going to load the native code first, right? And then React Native is going to load the JavaScript in. And while it's loading in that JavaScript, you're going to be presented with a white screen. Okay, so now to get around that, right, we're just going to head over to our browser, and we're just going to have a little cheeky gander at React Native splash screen. Okay, so let's have a look. It might be this one, the first one. 4.4k stars, that looks pretty decent. Yeah, this looks like it. Alright, so let me run you through my thought process on how to set this bad boy up. So I'm literally just going to follow these steps. If I can learn how to copy and paste properly, we might get there. Okay, so let's whack him in there. Alright. And this is going to allow that splash screen to stay there while it's loading the JavaScript. Alright, so we're going to add that in there. And then second step, plugin installation, automatic installation. I'm just going to run this one, React Native link. Now depending on your version, I think this might do it automatically. Might be something worth looking into. But either way, I run this command, and you'll see it set it up in the pod file as well for you. So we'll just get this going. Feel free to fast forward this as well, because this could take a little bit of time. So React Native link. Okay, that's all good. Now if you've got Git running on your project, you would actually see a few folders over here get set up, a few Java files, your pods file will get updated. So because our pod file is being updated, we actually have to cd into iOS, and we have to run a pod install. Right, and this is going to install the React Native splash screen for us for iOS. Right, now let's go back to the docs and let's just scroll. We don't want manual installation because we've done the automatic installation. Right, so let's skip past the manual. Right. Now, what we do have to do, right, is we do have to add this stuff in. Right. So what we can do is we can just take this, the import. Right, do I have Xcode? No. cd dot to open Xcode up again. We want to jump into the app delegate.m. I'm very sorry, there's a little bit of what's that, like a little bit of background noise. That's the fan on the Mac starting to come on. It's probably been on the whole video. So while we're in the app delegate.m, please be a bit cautious where you put this. We want to put it under here. And the reason being we want to put it here and not under here is because this is debug code. So when we go to actually, what's the word I'm looking for? Archive the project and upload the bundle to the App Store, it's going to throw a hissy fit because this is for the debug version only. And we want this to work in the actual production version. Okay, so we've added in the RN splash screen, and we want this thing as well. RN splash screen show. My Objective-C is not the greatest. Better with Swift. Right, this automatically saves for you. Right, so now let's CD out of this. Wait, sorry, not bad. CD npm run left-hand type npm run apps, and we should see our splash screen show up. While that's loading, I might take a sneaky little sip of my monster. Alrighty. Feel free to fast forward this as well. Yeah, successfully built, and okay. I don't like this. It's pinned to the safe areas. Okay, we got the splash screen showing. Alright, well I want to move, I cannot remember how to do this, but let's figure this out. I want to bump this up to the top of the screen. I want to ignore the safe area insets. Let's have a look at how we do this again. This is my constraint. I want the top one. Because this is to the safe area. I don't want it to the safe area. So how do we... I want to edit this. So I just double click that then. Let's go super view. Super view.bottom. Let's try that. Let's go back to our constraints. Where's my constraints gone? Here we go. To the super view. Let's double click this. And let's go super view again. So let's see if that actually puts it to the super view and not the safe area. The reason why I'm kind of like figuring this stuff out as I go is so I can kind of show you guys my thought process as well, you know, like I like to show, there we go, look at that. So this is to the super view now and not to the safe area, which looks a lot better. It's way more what's the word I'm looking for? Aesthetic, right? But as you can see, the splash screen persists now, and it doesn't show us our app. So let's go back to the documentation. Getting started, Android. No, we're not onto Android yet. We're looking for iOS. Oh, here we go. This is what we're looking for. Usage, something like this. Component did mount, so when the screen mounts, so this would be in the probably the main app file. We want to run splash screen.hide. But if you're like me and you're more of a modern React developer, you're probably using hooks. Right? So what's this? I'm just gonna go allow, whatever. So let's in the main app file, let's just grab a use effect, eh? Alright, and then let's grab this. I'm pretty sure I copied that already. And just put this down here, like that. And I'm just going to run this use effect. Right, add my dependency array. And when you have an empty dependency array, it means this use effect will only get called once, right? So splash screen did hide. Boom. And yeah, you can see the splash screen is now hidden. Alright, so let's just run this again. It would actually be good to show you guys as the JavaScript loads. You know how you get the white screen as the JavaScript loads? I cannot remember. Reset cache React Native. The command that I'm looking for is this one here. I'm going to reset this cache so then it has to reload it again. And then you guys will see how the white screen doesn't show. This might take a little bit longer to build, so you can fast forward this. Yeah. Right, so this would only show for a second and then it would load in the JavaScript. And this would be a white screen. You can see it's persisting now, it's staying there a lot longer. And there you go. So that's iOS done and dusted. So we've got the iOS splash screen all working. Right, so now what we got to do is we have to set up the screen for Android. Okay, so let's have a look now. I'm trying to remember how we do this. So we're probably going to want to have to go into that Android file. So I'm going to pop that open. I'm going to close that tab because we don't need that anymore. And let's just scroll up a little bit. Alright. And let's have a look. Getting started. Import React Native splash screen. We've done that. We've done that. Create a file called launchscreen.xml in app source main res layout. So if we go to an Android app source main res, we're going to create a new folder. We're going to call this layout, like how it says. We're going to create a new XML file. Right, new file. Launchscreen.xml. Right, create the layout folder if it doesn't exist. Cool. The contents of the file should be as the following. So I'm literally just going to copy this whole thing. Now my XML is not the greatest, right? But as you can see, if we read this image view out, it has a few little layout properties, you know, width and height match parent, so that will take up the full width and height of the parent. We have this Android source where it's coming from the drawable folder, and we've called it launch screen. So I can't remember if it tells you customize your launch screen by creating a launch screen.png file and place it in an appropriate drawable folder. So if you don't have a drawable folder, let's create a new folder called drawable, right? And let's move that out of the way. Xcode, you're all done and dusted. Now for the splash, that's my project, splash screens. Right, we only need, we don't need the 1, 2, and 3 times. We literally just need the 1 times image, right? And now this has to match up with our XML file, so we have to call it launch screen. Alright, so let's rename this to launch screen.png, right? So that's all good. And I'm pretty sure that was it for that. Oh, this is just optional steps, like customizing the status bar and all that jazz. We do need something though. And the thing that we need is the third step, the plugin configuration for Android. So we have to update the main activity.java to use React Native Splash Screen via the following. Just like we updated the appdelegate.m file in Xcode, we have to update the main activity file for Java. So let's get rid of this. Let's close this res, go into Java, the main activity folder. Right, and we want something like this. Now, import Android OS bundle. We're gonna need that. You can tell it's what you need because it has a little comment here saying here. Alright, so we're going to add that in here. I think this can be in any random order. We are running React Native Splash Screen greater than 0.3.1. So we're going to need this one and not this one. So just this one. Right, and let's add that bad boy in right here. Right, and then what else we're going to need? So we've got other code, which is this, and we're going to need this here. Now let's have a look. I'm pretty sure I can just slot you in right here. Save that. And I'm pretty sure that was it for that. So I'm going to run. I just want to run the Android one. Let's run them both. npm run apps. Right. Let's have a look, see how we go. See if we've got everything set up. So iOS. And let's see how we go with Android. Android. Nice. So there we go. We've got Android and we've got iOS. So there you go, guys. Nice little quick tutorial on how to set up your splash screens on React Native. And yeah, look forward to seeing you guys